Hey folks, Kilt-Man here. Kilt-Man at your services. How are you all? Hope you're all doing very, very well and enjoying what actually is, at the time of this recording, a Freedom Friday. Aye. And Kilty's going to be having some fun later because he's been paid today. And also, I can't start the fun just yet. I've still got another shift to do this afternoon. Oh, god damn it. But party times will roll, no worries. So anyway, what have I got for you now? It'll be very brief, this, to be honest. This is no longer news. I've got a great big R, a chest arse. Look at that. Look at the cleavage on Kilty. Wowzers. This is no longer news. And it's something that it pissed a lot of people off, but it didn't surprise me in the least. I saw this coming a mile away. I've got a feeling I even predicted it in an earlier video. And what is it? Yes, Predator Badlands has received a PG-13 rating in America, which will translate in this country, in the UK, to probably a 12 or maybe even a 15. AVP, the first AVP, was a PG-13 in the States, and it got a 15 certificate here in this country. And then the extended cut came out, and that was still a 15. But that's AVP. This is a bona fide Predator movie. There's no Xenos in this at all. It is just purely Predator. It's Deck on the Death Planet. Young Predator he is, on his first and could be his last hunt. He's got to win this one. He's got to prove himself. We all know what the story is, or roughly what the story is. He's got to survive on this planet, and he has an accomplice, Tia, or is it Thea? I'm never sure how to pronounce that. She's a replicant. She's a synthetic, played by Ellie Fanning. And she's just like half, she's just half, the top half, which he straps to his back, and she acts as his buddy. And he must fight fauna and other things, big beasties and just crazy creatures all the way across this hostile landscape. And that's his test. Right. Anyway, PG-13. Well, that really pissed off a lot of people. A lot of Pred fans are losing their shit, as people are prone to say on YouTube and other platforms. Dan Trachtenberg, the director, the creator of this new slew of Predator movies, beginning with Prey. You're hearing the soundtrack to it right now by Sarah Schachner, which is a great score. I love it, and a big fan of Prey as well, as you know. We also got earlier in the year Predator Killing of Killers, the animated one, the 3 stories with the wraparound, and that was gory. Prey was gory, Killer of Killers was gory. Dan Trachtenberg is basically saying, look, you've had the gory ones, now I'm going with this in this direction. And they aimed for the PG-13. Now they basically said this, him, the producer, and some other person associated with the production, have all said, yeah, we were aiming for a wider audience. Right. Okay, and the MPAA said PG-13 because even though there's great levels of violence and brutality in this, none of it's human. There's no humans getting wasted, killed, dismembered, blown apart, shot. No arms coming off with red blood and all that kind of stuff. You know, wounds all fused and cauterized. What the hell could have done this to a man? You know, you got none of that blown out chest cavities. No swinging skin dudes. It's all alien blood. And for those of you who think, well, what about that army of that bunch of Weyland-Yutani super troops who go in one of the trailers you see a load of these go in fully armed with the other synthetic. Thea, Ellie Fanning plays 2 characters in this, both synthetics. Both look a bit different and have different attitudes, obviously. But and obviously one's still got their legs. And well, that's not an army of humans. They're Weyland-Yutani synthetic troops. So at best, you're going to have ash-style milky white blood coming out of them. But I reckon they'll all get offed and ripped apart and split in 2. But it won't be nasty. It won't be what the MPAA would regard as, explicit, graphic, human, injury detail. Now, I'm not surprised by this in the least. Dan Trachtenberg, I love Prey, I love part of Killer of Killers, but I'm not its biggest fan. I've reviewed both, and talked about them considerably. But Killer of Killers has got a huge error as far as I'm concerned. It doesn't work for me. But I liked one of the stories in it. And I liked the animation. That was still pretty cool. But so he's taking the Predator franchise in a whole new direction. And he wants a bigger audience. Now I get it with this movie. You know, there's no humans in it. So it's going to be all different colours of blood and all that kind of stuff. Like, it can still be really exciting, really action-packed. And I really think it will be. There's been plenty of little sort of showing you almost, you know, a couple of minutes of a sequence. There's one that came out a couple of days ago where Deck is beset by those jungle-like tentacles and vines which are coming out snapping at him. And he's got that big mystical sword and he's chopping the tentacles off. And he's trying to dodge him, running through the jungle. And then this great big sort of beastie comes towards him. All tentacles and stuff like. And a huge branch-like tentacle comes down. And he manages to run up and down that, legging it, and he makes a slow-mo leap from this branch-like tentacle to the cliff's edge, and it gets just onto the edge of it and clambers up to safety, and then the scene ends. Well, that looked really good to me. It looked really good. It looked genuinely action-packed, really intense. There's no reason why this film will lack brutality and intensity and sheer excitement, action and verve. You just won't have red blood, obviously. Every other colour under the sun, and an alien sun at that. But what I do find frightening about this, and I'm afraid, you know, I'm in the crowd that's going like, oh, PG-13, didn't want that. I expected it. With the storyline for this, I totally expected it. But it still came as like, oh, disappointment. Because of what Dan Trachtenberg has said. Oh, it's all well going to say, oh, we expected this, we aim for this because it's alien blood, not human blood. Aliens getting, you know, dismembered, which apparently that's all right. You can dismember aliens and dispatch them nastily, as long as they're not humans. Isn't that actually xenomorphic? If you're an alien, you're going to be quite offended by that, aren't you? I would have thought. But the bigger picture, folks, is thus. They're aiming for a bigger audience. There's your killer line. Aiming for a bigger, wider audience. With this movie, okay? And then you're going to make the next movie where they want to bring aliens into it, the Xenos into it. He's always said this. I am not a fan of the two species coming together. It just hasn't worked for me at all. But inevitably, this is what they want to do. But he's clinched it now. We're aiming for a bigger audience. So do you think that this film, Badlands, is a one-off PG-13 in this run? He's not going to do a PG-13 and then go on to a hard R-rated, you know, AVP. No, he isn't. He's going to keep that audience. Otherwise, he's going to lose that audience again. So I'm afraid, I think the direction that they're going in, and I mean the next movie and possibly beyond as well, is PG-13. All the way, folks, all the way. And that will mean you will have human and xeno interaction, and it'll be relatively bloodless. I mean, I could be wrong, obviously, but I just don't see why he's making a big point of like aiming for a bigger, wider audience to bring them into the Predator universe and then discard them by having a hard R to follow on from this. He basically said in one interview a while ago about Killer of Killers, I've given you Prey, which had plenty of gore. I've given you Killer of Killers. Everybody wanted to see the Yautja go up against samurai, go up against ninjas, go up against Vikings. Nobody expected fighter pilots, World War II fighter pilots, but he gave you that anyway. And everyone wants to see Dutch return. No, I don't. I despise that in the extended version where you've got Dutch and you've got Danny Glover, Harrigan. Why? That negates all that they went through in their respective Predator and Predator 2 movies. Their ordeals, losing all their friends and fighting mano a mano against the Pred and winning their respect at the end of the day. Well, and then to be whisked off to some Yautja planet and put in cryostasis to fight in an arena. Oh, no, I'm afraid I'm out. I knew he was going to do it. It was obvious when he saw Naru at the end of that, which again pissed all over at the end of Prey as well. So I'm not happy about that at all. But I have a grudging respect for Dan Trachtenberg because I really did enjoy Prey. Although I've still got misgivings about the French trappers in there. Because I've said this a million times now, I know. Shoot me please, I'm repeating myself, getting old. The entire trapper element to Prey, they're either not in it long enough or they're in it too much. I still can't work out which. But when they're in the movie, I don't like the movie anywhere near as much as the surrounding elements. That's just me, folks. But, and speaking of just me, gotta finish off this bottle of Grant's, you know. Cheers, y'all. But, as I say, this news was no shock to me at all. I expected it, I foretold it, and there it is. Now, I didn't do a video at the time because I thought, well, it didn't shock me. But then, of course, I saw a lot of forums where it got up in flames. Oh, it's the end of the franchise. They've watered it down. It's going to be rubbish. It's just for kids. All these rants and raves. And then people were asking me, messaging me, like, are you going to talk about this? Because it means a lot. I thought, oh, I'll have to address it at some point, yeah. So, I have. I am gravely concerned. Not about this movie. I think that's fine for this one because it's all aliens. I'm okay. I'm all right with that. It's where it goes beyond. They've damned themselves by that line by saying we're doing this to get a bigger, wider audience. Well, you're not going to do that and then sacrifice those extra bums on seats by making a hard R directly afterwards, are you? I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't know. I just don't have a great sort of hope for longevity with this sort of ideal. But Badlands, I'm way looking forward to it. Deck's face, it's kind of grown on me. I had a lot of, doubts about that. This younger, more humanistic, face on show all the time Predator. But the story, you have to see him. You've got to bond with this guy to understand this guy. You've got to empathise with him and want him to win. And I'm way, way happy about that. If you cast your minds back, I'm going to repeat myself yet again. If you cast your minds back to when I was doing a lot of coverage for Prey, I said a lot of times that, repeating myself endlessly, that I want to see a film where a predator actually wins the day. And I focused in more on that. I wanted to see a predator not fighting humans, but crash landing on an alien planet where the aliens are after him and he loses all his technology and he has to go back First Blood style to his own survival skills and his own savagery and brutality in order to survive. And lo and behold, and I said all that before we got the plot of Badlands, and lo, what do we get? A young Yautja on an alien hostile planet who has to use his wits and his guile and half a cyborg strapped to his back to survive. It's not quite what I had in mind, but there's family issues too. But we're going to get to know a lot of the Yautja culture, and we're going to hear a lot of them speak as well in their Yautja lingo. So I think there's a lot to look forward to with this. And as I say, Deck's face caused a lot of grief online. People were losing their shit all over again about this crappy CG face. It doesn't look anything like Stan Winston, from the original. Well, nothing ever is going to look like that again. They're just not going to do that look. And if you're going to have to look at this guy all the time, you're going to have to use CG as well as a mask. You have to use CG augmentation to do it because he can't wear that mask for, say, 85% of the screen time, which is what I predict it would be. So, and you've got to see emotion in his eyes. And the more I watch of the trailers and the more I watch of these little scenes that are putting up there, the more I'm liking the guy. I know some people that are fundamentally, opposed to liking a predator. We all love the bloody Yautja, don't we? We love the first one. Kevin Peter Hall, he cemented it. The little mannerisms, the little nuances, he was perfect. And you've had other guys doing the role, or playing a predator ever since, and they've all tried to inject something into it at least. but nothing tops Kevin Peter Hall in the first Predator and Predator 2. But this guy, I think, will win you over. I think you're going to run alongside him. You're going to understand his plight, understand his issues back with the family, his particular clan, and his desire to prove himself. You know, I get that, and I totally buy into it. And I'm looking forward to seeing what this adventure really throws at us. And it could do a hell of a lot of good stuff. I think it will be, you know, quite bone-rattlingly intense. A lot of escapades, a lot of set-piece stuff. What I don't like, and again, you know, at the risk of sounding like a broken record, I don't like the whole AVP ethos of bringing William Yautja into it. It's all born out of an in-joke in Predator 2, where you've got a Xeno skull on the ship, which was perfect. It was just, oh, what? They've got an alien as well? Ah, that's brilliant. You didn't, and of course, everyone, oh, that means we've got to see a movie where they've got to fight together. And then they did it, and, ooh. Little secret, folks, AVP, the first one, I actually don't mind it. There's a lot of shit to it. But there's some great visuals and some great ideas in there. But again, it was a sanitized version. Then you got AVP Requiem, which at least had a lot of gore to it. If you turn the brightness up, you couldn't see fuck all. Totally black screen. But AVP Requiem was naff. It really wasn't a good movie. Predators was great. It was, apart from the Lawrence Fishburne sequence, which I really don't like that. I thought he dragged the film right down into the morass. It was just, God, ditch him. That entire bloody sequence was boring as hell. It's just me, folks, just me. But overall, I liked a lot of Predators. I thought it did a lot of good things. Was atmospheric and exciting. The pred dogs and all that kind of stuff, like setting traps with machete and all this. It was good. It was good fun. Then you got Shane Black and the Predator. Dear God. There's nothing they can do to improve that movie. Well, this is how you improve that movie. Once it started, you turn it off. Turn it off or just change channel. Channel hop, but get off that movie. It's not worth it at all. Shane Black should have known better. He really should. And he can't keep on blaming studio interference. He can't. His basic story's still there, you know, and it's naff. Autism, the universal language of love, you know? No, not for me. Then Prey came along, and Prey did what I wanted it to do. It went back in history, and Native Americans, the Comanche, and using Comanche language as well. Loved all that. I like Naru, and of course, you know, okay, I've got a cat now, but I am a dog man. Physically and hairily, I'm a dog man. But I love the hero with the faithful, devoted canine. Obviously, in most stories where you've got a human and a dog together, that dog is going to bite the big one, you know, at some point. But Sari, the dog didn't. The dog didn't die. And Naru was a great character. The film was a nice, tight story. What, 96 minutes, something like that? I can't quite remember. It didn't overstay its welcome. It didn't push things too far. The feral, a lot of people didn't like the feral. I wasn't fussed on his look at first, like the more Leith and Limber sort of version, and a bit of a. What I don't like, and they've all had this, is the monster takes the mask off and then goes raw. Now in the first Predator, that made sense. You took the mask off and you're like, oh my God, you're one ugly motherfucker. And then he goes and reveals he's got these external mandibles, and you go, whoa, I didn't expect that. You're even uglier, you motherfucker. But then of course, every movie after that, every monster movie would have a scene where the creature would stop in chasing someone, but it should have just leapt on and devoured them. And this is everything from The Relic to Jurassic Park to every bloody thing, like would stop and go like that at the camera with a big super stretchy mouth. Even like of Blade 2 and oh God, what else was there? There were so many movies that did this. Even Pirates of the Caribbean had a jokey moment. don't know if they did it on. I'm doing a lot of Peter Cushing finger waggling, aren't I? But in Captain Barbossa, when he's chasing Jack Sparrow, not Tortuga. What's the island where they got all the treasure? Well, you know what I mean. In the treasure island where all the caves are, and Barbossa, he's chasing him and laughing, and he comes to the camera and goes ah like that for no reason at all, other than what I like to think he was taking the piss out of the trend of monsters showing their big tonsils waggling in the back of a CG mouth. But in Prey and in Killer of Killers and certainly in Badlands, we know that happens because you've got Deck. It's in a couple of different scenes, if I remember rightly, of a different thing coming at him. There's like these tentacles with like big sort of open mouths with all like little horrible, all their little mini tentacles and big sucker lips, and one goes raw to him, he's like back at it, and then you've got the big fucking beast that comes bounding towards him. We don't know, well I don't know if that's the big thing that he's trying to kill on this particular death planet, the big prize. I don't know if that's it or they're holding that back. I would think they're holding it back really, but I don't know, could be wrong. This could be it. And it comes loping towards him, and then he goes his fangs come out, his mandibles come out like that, and then this thing stops and goes because he's got a much bigger mouth. And I'm like, oh, when are we going to stop this shit, you know? You want to fight with someone, you don't go, hold on a minute, let me get this right. You don't do that, you don't do it, you just keep on fucking going, you don't stop to go make a roar. It's just a cinematic trope, I know. But I'm prone to get a bit overblown about things like this. But I am looking forward to this movie quite a lot. I will be honest and say that my disappointment did knock it down a couple of notches in my expectations, but nothing damning. I'm still super uber excited about this. I'm just a bit wary about what it means for what's going to come afterwards, because I can guarantee this one will be a big success. I bet my ass it's going to be a big success. A success as big as my ass, perhaps. And of course, Dan Trachtenberg will be, he's the man, and it worked. And then he's going to get what he wanted, the bigger audience, the money coming in, the more power, more kudos. And if he wants to take this in a more audience-friendly direction, well, I'm afraid us Uber fans, the ones who've been with it from the start, and like the blood and guts and the Uber violence and the F-bombs, and you don't get any nookie. Well, you... Predator 2, there's a great bit of the nookies, you do get the nookie actually, and then the swinging rude boys come in and like hang the guy upside down and cut his heart out. Fucking voodoo magic, man. But sex doesn't play a huge part in the Predator movies. But knowing Dan Trachtenberg and his exploration of the Yautja lifestyle and culture, you might get a bit of female Yautjas and how they win their mates. And do they kill after mating? Who knows? And F-bombs in a PG-13, someone out there will correct me on this, but I think you're allowed one sexual expletive. Fuck, I think you're allowed that once in it. So I wonder if we're going to get here in the Yautja language a version of their F-bomb. Probably. I'll bet my ass on that as well. You're going to hear something like that. Or Deck's going to be standing there on the edge of a cliff, like panting out of breath, just outrunning something, and then a big flying monstrosity comes up, and then goes rah to him. You just go, you go like, shit. If it come up translation, shit. Fuck you. It's almost gone. I've got the single malt still there. Well, it's the single malt. There's about 9 bottles of single malt positioned behind me right there. Always keep some in reserve. But yeah, folks, there's my views on a PG-13 rated Predator movie. For this particular story, I am not surprised, but I do harbour doubts and more than a bit of dread and trepidation about what's going to follow. Because if this draws in the crowds and the big money, he's going to stick with that format. So for us, die hard, gore hounds, that does not ring too well, does it? And then you're going to get a sanitized version. And what Trachtenberg might then do, he'll do nastier, gorier animated versions. Anyway, comment below, let me know what you think. A lot of you have already told me, a lot of people are really pissed off about this. For this one outing, I don't mind it. I can live with it. The action looks exciting enough to me. It looks kinetic, brutal. So I'm quite happy with that. But just for this story, then I want to see humans getting skinned, brains getting blown out of people's skulls. I want that. Arms getting torn off and ripped off and blown off. Oh dear God. Anyway, in the meantime, this ever how many F-bombs can you drop into a PG-13? In between time, please keep it kilted, keep it Celtic, and I'm going to see you all really hard. So I've got to go to work soon. Only for an hour, and then I'm back, and then I can go out again. Way, Freedom Friday. Folks, wherever you are in the world, whatever you're doing, stop what you're doing. Don't watch any more Kilt-Man videos. Go out and have fun. Kilt-Man doctrine, the gospel according to Kilt-Man. Have fun. And it hasn't got to be PG rated fun. You have R rated fun. Do it. You have unrated fun. Right, I'm out of here. Ta-da!